What's going on, everyone? Steven here from TechMaker.tv. This is Building a Blog with Ruby on Rails Part 7. In the last episode, we started setting up this front end where we can see our blog posts, but if you click on these, they don't actually do anything right now. So this episode should be a little bit quick, hopefully, and we're just going to focus on setting up the show page basically for our blog posts. I mentioned this at the tail end of the last episode, I think, but in this series we'll probably get into some styling and stuff a little bit later, but for now I'm mostly just trying to rough in a structure that's decent. And the reason for that is that everybody's going to want to do something a bit different. You're not going to want your website or your blog to look exactly like some template or something that I did. So I want to push all of the hardcore customization toward the end, and just kind of put a basic structure in place now that isn't terribly ugly but is decent. And then we'll focus on building out all the other sort of stuff like tracking and pagination and all the different things, tags and search and so on. So this is going to be pretty fully featured by the time this series is finished. But anyway, enough of all of that. Let's go ahead and jump into the code and set up our actual page here. So to do that, I'm going to head back over to Atom. I've already got my server running. The first thing I'm going to do is open up the routes. And one thing that we've done is we have these resources posts. So we could, normally if we didn't have this, have something like /post/ great blog post or something that would be the URL or the path rather, but that won't work because we're already using posts here. So what I'm going to do is just, oops, didn't mean to do that. Right under my root definition here, I'm going to set up a get path on /blog/id. And what this is going to do is make it so that we have URLs that are /blog/ and then the slug that's attached to the actual post. And then we'll just point that over here at readers/posts, and then we'll give it a # and show. So what this is actually telling it is saying, hey, look inside of a readers directory for this posts controller with a show action. And it may actually be more than that. This may be also indicating that there's a module, something like readers posts controller. Anyway, so I'm not 100% sure. I haven't actually played with that, but I know that what I'm going to do should work. So let's just kind of set it up. So this is saying, okay, we're looking for a post controller inside of the readers directory. So we'll create it here. And if anybody knows more about that, feel free to leave helpful links in the comments or whatever. I'm always happy to check stuff out. So we'll say module readers, and then we'll say class post controller. Then we'll inherit from readers controller, like that. Okay, so one other thing I forgot to do really quick that I would like to do, it's not necessarily required, but over here I want to actually name this route. So I want to say as, and then we'll just say blog post. And you'll see why we do that in a second. That's going to give us something where we can basically say blog post path and then pass in a post. So in here, let's define a show action. And I'm going to say at post equals post.published.friendly.find and then params ID. Okay, so let's go down to our views down here, and inside of readers, let's create a new folder for, what is this, posts, and then we'll do show, and then let's just go ahead and print out the at post title, like that, and let's see what we've got going on now. So if I go over to my home index, instead of this a tag, what I'm going to do here is say link to, and then we'll say read post, which is what we had put in there earlier. We'll give it the blog post path. Go ahead and pass in the post. I'm going to trip myself up here a little bit. And then we need to just give all these classes that we had on here so we get the same kind of style. I need to copy the right thing actually. Okay, and then let's go ahead and delete that next line. And let's see what this gives us. So if we refresh, it should look the same. If I click on it, we get our title. So, and you can see up here in the URL, we have our /blog/ and then our slug basically. Okay, cool. So that's all working. So next, let's go ahead and hook up our show page that actually has something on it that's slightly more interesting. So we have over here, and let's check our application. No, this would be readers.html. So you can see here we have this container. So that's basically what is bringing this in away from the edge of the page. And you can see that that's responsive as well, so it kind of bumps in and so on. So let's go ahead and copy some of what we have in here. So what I want to do is just grab this card to start with as a base starting point. As I said yesterday, I do tend to copy and paste and then kind of modify when I'm just doing this kind of stuff. So I think our postcard that we set up should still work. We may want to modify it a bit depending on the situation, so we'll see how it looks. But what does this look like if we just do like this? We don't need this. This doesn't make any sense. We don't need that. That doesn't make any sense. What else doesn't make sense? So this should be an H1. So let's go back and let's look and see what that looks like. So that actually doesn't look terrible in my opinion. So we basically get this style from the other page. Might be nice if that was a little bit zoomed out or something. It's kind of squished. So maybe we'll worry about that later, but you know, it's not awful. So let's hook up the main content here. So we have our H1 tag, that's fine. I mean, it's not going to be beautiful right now, right? So just get that in your expectations. Then let's do this. Let's say, what do we got in our post? It's elements, right? Has many elements, and then element is a paragraph or an image. What do we do in our post show over here? Edit, rather. So we have this post.elements.none. That's not us. Okay, and then we're making some decisions based on what's what. So we can just print out element.content if it's a paragraph, it looks like. And then what are we doing for images? Looks like, I'm lost. Where are we at here? Image tag element.image. Okay, I'm going to leave that open so that I can kind of double check it shortly. So we'll just kind of get that opened up, and then we'll come back over here and we'll just say, okay, at post.elements.each do element. Okay, let's see. So let's just render out whatever it is based on what it is, right? Just kind of get it started. So if element dot image, I think it's just image tag element dot image. Is that the right thing? Yeah, image and then paragraph. And then we'll say else. We want to say elements.content. So that should basically just print everything. So here we go, we have our stuff being printed out. Let's check on the other one because it had an image. That's kind of interesting. So we have a height that's being applied. That's right, we have that height being applied on the postcard thing. So we actually are going to have to fix that. So it's trying to center everything in this card body, and it's freaking out because it can't fit, basically, I guess. Okay, so before we do anything, let's fix all of this because it's kind of busted. So Let's see what we can do here. So let's open up our, I'm going to show you a trick here, readers HTML. So I don't remember where I saw this, and if I find it, I'll link to it in the description, because I didn't come up with this, but there's a really cool tactic you can use to work with your CSS and nesting things. So what you can do in your application layout file, or readers in this case, layout file, is you could say controller name, and then you can print out action name, and I'll show you why this works in just a second. So if we come over here and refresh, and let's go ahead and inspect the page. If we go to the body, or rather the container, maybe we should put those on the body. Yeah, I'm going to put those on the body. I don't know why I put those down here. I'm going to cut those and paste there. Let's do that again. So now up on the body tag, we have readers, posts, show. So this is defining the readers is the section of the app that we're in, that's why I laid this out this way, is because it's very easy to kind of separate things out. Then we have posts, show. So what this will let us do is come over here to our, what was it called? Posts.scss is what we set up, I think. So we can say readers.home index, it should be like that. And then we can say readers post show, we can do it like this. So on this one, I don't actually want there to be a height, and we can make the height of the header image bigger. And let's see what this looks like. It's going to take a second. Okay, so I think that actually looks a bit better. Let's make that, I'm going to make it 350. You can make it whatever you want. I just kind of like to see more of the image, I think. Okay. Now let's get the rest of this in shape. So let's have a look at what's going on here. So we have our sections pretty much laying out in this tricks content thing, and then we have an H3 in here, which is what we wanted, and then we just have kind of divs with text in them. So I would have expected those to be P tags, but I guess that's okay like that. Not sure how I feel about that. Maybe there's a way that we can actually fix that later if we decide, but anyway, the H3s are at least a good thing. What I want to do is, let's close down all this stuff and reopen it. I get freaked out when I have too many tabs open. So we'll go post, show. And what I'm going to do for my card body, I'm going to add a class of, I don't actually want this deflex business on here. First of all, let's clear that up. And then let's do this. Let's say P4 maybe. That's not enough. Make it P5. You know what I think I'm going to do actually, because that's already got padding on it that's sort of designed for the card. So I'm going to make another div with P4 inside of that. And then we'll cut that and paste it there. And refresh, and it's still in the same freaking spot. Okay, let's try that again with the P5. I think I like that better, I think. Let's keep going. So what do we do on the posts over here? I kind of like the way, I'm not signed in. Let me go ahead and sign in. So I kind of like the way these look over here. It's a little basic, but it's kind of like the image is padded in a little bit. Let's go look at what the code looks like for that. This episode is going to end up being longer than I thought. They kind of always do, because I just get carried away, I guess. So over here, where is my image? I think I just put a div around it or something, right? With an image class, and it has its own padding. Okay, so let's go over there and let's do the same thing. Let's just add a div right here. I can't type right now. Okay, div, and then we'll give a class image, and then we'll say P5 5 again. I really want to pad that thing in. Let's see what that looks like. Let's actually make that a PL. Well, we can actually do that on the, we can do that over on the, what word am I looking for in the CSS? Because I don't think I have that as padding. I think I set the width as 80% or something like that. We'll check the CSS in a second, and then we'll give this a class of content. All right, and actually, you know what, to be a little more specific here, I'm going to say image element and content element. Okay, now, let's see, application, base, what are we doing here for base? So we had done a little bit of work directly in our base file here, which is not great actually. But there's only 30 lines, so I'm not going to worry about it too much. We'll just sort it out later. So in here, in my postcard, I'm going to have image element, and we'll say text align center, image max width 80%. And let's see what that looks like. So that's not what we want to see. We want to go to the home page and then click on the post. Okay, so it's still kind of really wide overall. Maybe what I want to do actually, let's see, we could do a div class equals row col lg 10 offset lg1, and then we can bump all of this in there. Now let's see what that looks like. It's a little more kind of narrow in the middle of the screen now, and it's going to be fine as we get smaller. I kind of like it. I think it's fine. It's not, again, we'll come back to the styling more in depth later, but I do want to kind of get it looking decent right now. Let's make this PL5, PR5, and see what that looks like. Okay, let's make this PT4, PB4. Okay, I think that looks better. And I want to make the card, or this actually, no, let's make the card. Make this have an MB5 so that it actually scrolls. So we can get, you see how the bottom, it's not bumping up against the bottom of the screen anymore? Okay, so now let's sort out the alignment of all these elements. So each element here, this is card body, post element. Let's go ahead and wrap this in, well, let's see. We can put this directly on the image element and the content element, make it an MB4 maybe. And my H1, let's give it a class of MB3, 5. I don't know, let's go refresh and see what it looks like. Okay, now we're getting somewhere. I'm going to bump these down even further though. Okay, I kind of like that. So by default, we haven't really, I mean, we've modified the card a little bit, but mostly we've just worked on spacing. So that's really not much CSS. So we're kind of just utilizing the bootstrap classes to get the alignment to be kind of decent. What we could do, at some point I'm going to get a different font, most likely. What we could do is work on these font sizes, but I don't actually hate it, so I think I'm just going to leave it there. Alright, so we've got a decent looking post page here. I mean, it's not amazing, but it's also not like insanely bad. It's just decent enough. Got an okay looking index here, so I think, you know, we're definitely going to straighten this stuff out more without question. We need to add navigation because right now there's really nothing except for just going forward and backward. But this is a good foundation, I think, to work from. So I think in the next episode, let me think about this. What do we want to do next? I think in the next episode I'm going to set up a little bit of tracking. so we can keep track of unique visits to the page. So that'll be kind of fun. Um, we need to worry about our layout a little bit more. So once you add these, they're not going to look good. They're going to stack up in kind of a weird way. So we need to fix that. We do need to add some kind of nav. Maybe we'll add a nav bar. I don't really know what it would do. Maybe there's like a home icon. There's not really anywhere you can go right now, so we don't have like an about page or anything like that. So I'm not sure. I got to think about it. I'm trying to keep it as simple as we can, but anyway, so I'll work on what's coming up next a little bit more, but we're definitely going to do tracking. We're going to add some tags so that you can, filter by different tags and so on. We definitely are going to have full text search, so we'll put a search bar in the top and be able to search with our against all of our post elements and so on. So anyway, hopefully you found this helpful. If you like this episode, be sure to give it a thumbs up, and if you want to see more content like this, be sure to subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. With all of that said, I will talk to you in the next episode.